I never expected to feel this lost at work. My name is Luna, and I am a research assistant at a small marketing company. I am 28 years old and the newest member of the team. When I started, I was excited about my job. I love learning new things and working with others. But now, I feel overwhelmed. The office is busy, and sometimes it is hard to keep up. I want to do well. I want my boss to notice me, but every day feels like a challenge. My colleagues are nice, but I also feel shy. I often sit quietly at my desk, avoiding conversations. My team has meetings where we share ideas, but I am scared to speak up. I worry that I will say something wrong or that my ideas are not good enough. I look at my teammates, and they seem confident. They laugh and talk easily with one another. I think, why can't I be like them? Each day, I question my choices. Did I choose the wrong job? Am I not good enough for this position? I grew up in a small town where my parents always encouraged me to do my best. They worked hard to give me opportunities. I remember my mother telling me, "Do not be afraid of challenges, Luna." That was good advice, but now I feel stuck. I want to make my parents proud. They believe in me, but I need to believe in myself too. In my free time, I enjoy reading and drawing. When I read, I can escape to new worlds. Drawing lets me express my feelings. I draw pictures of nature and people. Creating art helps me relax, but sometimes I wish I could draw my own confidence and happiness. My hobbies are important to me, but they also remind me of my dreams. I want to grow and succeed in my career. I want to become someone who can share ideas and inspire others. But every time I think about speaking at a meeting or taking on a new project, I feel scared. This fear makes my heart race. I think about what will happen if I fail. I imagine the looks on my colleagues' faces. I fear their judgment. This fear holds me back. I know I need to change this feeling, but how can I overcome it? I need to find a way to build my confidence and be part of the team. I have tried to speak up during meetings, but it is hard. I often forget what I want to say. My mind becomes blank, and I feel embarrassed. I can feel my cheeks turning red as I struggle for the right words. I think about practicing what I will say, but I worry about how it will sound. What if I make a mistake? This story is about my journey. I aim to grow and learn. I want to face my fears and find ways to become a better version of myself. I hope that through my struggles, I can find solutions and learn from them. I want to understand my strengths and weaknesses. In the end, I know that this job can help me learn not just about work but also about who I am. So, this is my story, and I am ready to embrace the challenges ahead. As time went on, I thought I would feel better at my job. But instead, things became harder. I started to notice a colleague named Sarah who made me uncomfortable. At first, she seemed friendly, but her actions quickly changed. Every time I shared an idea, she would cut me off. "That's not a good plan, Luna," she would say with a fake smile. I tried to brush it off, but I felt smaller each time she spoke. It was as if her words took away my light. One day in a meeting, I shared a new project idea. I had spent hours thinking about it. When I explained it to the team, I felt excited. But as I began, Sarah laughed. "Luna, you really think that will work?" she asked, scoffing in front of everyone. I froze. My heart raced, and I felt heat rise in my face. It felt like everyone turned to look at me. They did not say anything, but I could see their faces. I wanted to disappear. The meeting continued, but my mind was lost in shame. I felt like my idea was pointless. After the meeting, Sarah walked past my desk. She leaned in and said, "You should stick to what you know, Luna. Leave the big ideas to others." Her laughter echoed in my head. This was not just teasing, it was hurtful. It made me doubt myself even more. I couldn't understand why she acted this way, and I felt like a target. I wanted to be brave and stand up to her, but the words were stuck in my throat. Over the next weeks, the bullying intensified. Sarah would mock me in meetings, questioning my work. "Is that really what you think, Luna?" she would say loudly. I watched my teammates' faces as they glanced at the floor, avoiding eye contact with me. I felt so alone. The sinking feeling in my stomach grew deeper every day. I tried talking to my boss, but he seemed busy. I never found the right time to express my concerns. It made me feel unimportant. I started to dread going to work. My mornings were filled with anxiety, and I always felt a knot in my stomach. I kept thinking, what if Sarah says something mean again? Once, when I received a simple feedback email, I couldn't help but think it was about my mistakes. My voice shook when I replied, and my confidence waned a little more. I feared sending emails to my boss because I thought I might mess up. I worried that I did not know how to fix any mistakes. As I looked at my teammates, I noticed they seemed to hold their opinions back when Sarah was near. Each day, the air felt heavy. I kept hoping for a moment of change. I thought maybe if I gave my ideas quietly, Sarah would not notice me. Maybe if I kept my head down, she would get tired of bothering me. But deep down, I realized this could not be the answer. I wanted to be strong and not let her control my feelings. I needed to find a way to push through the situation. I thought more about what my mother told me about facing challenges. I felt that within myself, I could grow stronger. I was ready to take a step, even if it felt small, to reach for my courage and stand up. A change had to come soon. Every day felt harder than the last. The bullying from Sarah affected me in many ways. I could feel my confidence fading. I used to enjoy sharing my ideas, but now I felt scared to speak. When I walked into the office, my heart raced. I asked myself, can I really do this? My mind was heavy with doubt. I looked at my work, and it seemed smaller than before. I could not focus or think clearly. Ideas that used to flow now felt stuck. Each time Sarah mocked me, the weight on my shoulders grew thicker. I found it hard to concentrate on tasks. I would sit at my desk and stare at my computer. My hands felt shaky, and I could not type. My boss noticed my low energy, but he did not know the full story. "Luna, you need to be more proactive," he said one day. I nodded, but inside, I felt scared. I wanted to ask for help, but my voice fell silent once again. As weeks passed, I began to isolate myself. At lunch, I would sit alone. I watched my colleagues laugh and talk. They seemed to make friendships easily, while I felt lost. It was hard to join the conversation when fear wrapped around my heart. I thought they might judge me just like Sarah did. My thoughts spiraled. I started to wonder if maybe I did not belong there. Was I good enough for this job? Could I really succeed? One night, it got worse. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. The stress from work seeped into my dreams. I had nightmares of standing alone in front of my team. I could see them staring at me, waiting for me to fail. I woke up feeling exhausted and scared. I thought about quitting my job. Maybe it would be easier to walk away, I told myself. Maybe I am not cut out for this work. But then I remembered why I took this job. I wanted to grow and learn. I wanted to make my parents proud. I did not want to give in to fear, but I felt trapped. Should I fight back against Sarah? Or should I keep quiet? These questions frustrated me. Sometimes I thought about saying something to Sarah, but my gut told me it would get worse. Confrontation was frightening. A part of me wanted to stop the cycle, yet another part whispered, just survive the day. I found myself questioning my abilities more than ever. Each time I looked at my work, I felt smaller. The mistakes I made stared back at me like old friends. I worried I would not meet my boss's expectations. At times, I wished for a friend to share my thoughts with. Someone who would listen and support me. But as I felt strong walls surrounding me, it became harder to ask for help. I wanted to believe in myself. I remembered my mother's words, "Do not give up, Luna." It felt comforting and soothing, but I wanted to find a way to break free from the fear weighing me down. I knew I had to make a choice soon. I needed to find a way to remain strong. The struggle continued, but hope remained, waiting for me to grasp it tightly. I took a breath, telling myself I would figure this out. I reached my breaking point one afternoon, and everything felt like it would explode inside me. The stress had been building for weeks, and I could no longer hold it in. I was working on a big project due next week. I had spent nights doing research and writing. I believed in my ideas. But when I presented them to my boss, Sarah jumped in. She quickly shot down everything I shared, making snide remarks about my efforts. "This is not what we discussed, Luna. You need to pay attention," she said. Her words pierced me like sharp arrows. In that moment, I felt so small. It seemed like the room grew darker, and all I wanted to do was disappear. I could feel the eyes of my teammates on me. I had put my heart into this project, but Sarah made me feel worthless. When the meeting ended, I rushed to the break room. I leaned against the wall, and tears welled in my eyes. I could hardly breathe. Why is this happening to me? I thought. It felt like the bullying had taken away my voice. I thought about my dreams and what drove me to this job. I wanted to learn and grow. I recalled my mother's words, "Be brave, Luna." But I felt anything but brave. I fell into my thoughts, believing I was about to become someone who simply faded away. As I stood there, I realized I could not let it end this way. Something inside me stirred, telling me that change was needed. I could not keep letting Sarah or anyone make me feel like I didn't belong. I took a few deep breaths, trying to calm my racing heart. At that moment, I made a decision. I needed to confront Sarah. She had to know how her words affected me and how they impacted my work. A wave of fear washed over me, but I also felt a flicker of strength rising. I wanted to speak up and stand my ground. I could no longer hide behind my fear. I could not pretend that everything was fine while feeling so broken inside. I walked back to my desk with determination. I found my voice in the midst of the turmoil because I wanted to fight back. I could see Sarah chatting with some teammates in the corner of the room, smiling and laughing. That's when my nerves began to twist again. What if she laughs at me? I thought. But I also considered the pain of silence. I would rather face a moment of uncertainty than keep feeling miserable. Finally, I stood up and approached her. My heart pounded in my chest. "Sarah, can I talk to you for a moment?" I asked, trying to make my voice steady. She turned to me with a look of annoyance but nodded. I led her away from the group and took a deep breath. "I need to tell you how I feel. Your comments make it hard for me to work. I feel I can't come to you or share my ideas," I said, pouring my heart out. Her expression changed slightly, but I could still see her usual dismissive way about her. "You need to toughen up, Luna." "It's just work," she replied, shrugging me off. My heart sank, but I held my head high, refusing to back down. I realized at that moment, the change I needed was not only for her but also for myself. I would no longer accept feelings of shame or fear. Confronting Sarah was a turning point, a leap into the unknown, and I was ready to embrace it. As I stood facing Sarah, my heart raced with both fear and determination. I had finally spoken up, but the moment felt surreal, like a dream I could not wake up from. Her dismissive attitude felt like ice water poured over my head. I stood there, trying to hold on to my bravery. But as her words sunk in, doubt crept back into my mind. Did I really think I could change her? I felt exposed and vulnerable, as if everyone in the office was watching me unravel. After our conversation, I could hardly focus on my work. I returned to my desk, but my hands shook. I was tense, thinking about what might happen next. I worried Sarah would retaliate. I knew she had the power to affect my future at the company, and that scared me even more. I wished I could take back my words, but it was too late. My decision hung over me like a heavy fog. The next day, I walked into the office, feeling anxious. I expected stares and whispers, but instead, it seemed quiet. I hardly heard any laughter. Honestly, that silence bothered me. Did they know what had happened? I felt a cold knot in my stomach, and the anxiety made my hands tremble. Sarah was there, sitting at her desk, and I avoided eye contact. My heart sank. Later that morning, my boss called me into his office. "Luna, we need to talk," he said, his voice stern. I wanted to explain what happened with Sarah, but instead, I felt like I had to defend myself. He frowned and said he had attended the meeting where I confronted her. "You need to work in harmony with your colleagues," he said sharply. "We can't have conflict in the team." I nodded, feeling the burn of tears in my eyes. I wanted to explain that I was not the problem, but my words felt stuck. "I understand," I mumbled. Inside, shame washed over me like a wave. I saw the disappointment on my boss's face, and that hurt more than any comment Sarah made. I felt more alone than ever. The shame left me feeling small and insignificant. As I walked out of the office, deep sadness hit me. I feared losing my job and felt trapped by my choices. I wished I could run away from all of it. My mind spiraled with regret. Did speaking up even help? I started to question if I would ever fit in. I returned to my desk and buried myself in work. But as I typed, everything slowed down. Each keystroke felt heavy and empty. I worried I might not be able to do well anymore. What if my boss was right? Was I not working well with others? Pain mixed with guilt, and it made my heart ache. Each moment weighed on me like a dark cloud. I began to feel the growing need to escape the workspace. Part of me wanted to quit. Just walking away sounded easier than facing this pain day by day. All I could think was, why did I say anything? Would it have been better to stay silent? A heavy sadness filled my chest. I felt like I was losing myself, trapped between fear and the hope I had held on to for so long. Would things ever change for me? As I sat at my desk, my heart felt heavy with despair. The doubts swirled in my mind, and I could feel my motivation slipping away. Each passing moment seemed more challenging than the last. I watched the office around me, seeing my colleagues working together and laughing. I felt so far away from that joy. I took a deep breath, wishing for strength but only finding sadness. It seemed as if I had lost my path entirely. Just when I thought I could not take it anymore, Sarah walked past my desk and glared at me with what felt like smug satisfaction. I looked down, avoiding her gaze. But instead of feeling defeated, something sparked inside me. In that moment, I realized I could no longer allow her negativity to steal my joy. I needed to reclaim my strengths and my confidence. My job was about more than just her. It was about my future, my growth, and my dreams. That evening, I called my best friend, Layla. We had been friends since childhood, and she always knew how to lift my spirits. As I spoke to her, I poured out my heart. I shared every detail about Sarah's cruel words and how my boss had reacted. I felt my lady ball of emotions unfurling as I told her about my sadness and regret. "Luna, you are so much more than what they say," Layla said gently. "You are smart and talented. Do not let anyone define you. You must be brave and find your voice." As I listened to her words, I felt warmth fill my heart. She reminded me of my dreams. It was easy to forget who I was when negativity surrounded me, and I had almost let it win. Layla's words acted like a light in my dark moment. They stirred a fire within me. I realized that if I wanted to succeed, I had to own my feelings and speak out against the bullying. It wasn't just about standing up to Sarah, it was about standing up for myself. I needed to stop seeing myself as a victim. I remembered my skills. I loved my field of marketing and enjoyed finding creative solutions. I knew I had something to give, something worth believing in. The next day, I came back to work with a different mindset. I felt lighter. My spirit carried a sense of purpose. I knew I would not change Sarah overnight, but I could change how I felt about myself. As I entered the office, I held my head high, ready to embrace whatever came my way. I focused on my work, determined to put aside my fear and anxiety. The tasks that had once overwhelmed me now felt like little challenges I could face one at a time. I focused on completing my projects fully and doing my best. If Sarah said something hurtful, I would take a moment to breathe. I would remind myself that her words did not define my worth. I decided to talk to my boss again, but this time I would share my thoughts clearly. I would express how I wanted to contribute positively to the team. I wanted him to know I was committed to success and ready to grow. In my heart, I felt ready to reclaim my power. It was time to be the confident, capable woman I knew I could be. I would not let anyone dim my light. The future lay before me, full of possibilities, and I was excited to embrace it. Falling action. As the days passed after my heartfelt conversation with Layla, I felt a gradual shift inside me. Each morning, I woke up with a feeling of purpose. I started to believe that everything I had been through was part of my journey. My first challenge was to talk to my boss, and I knew I could do it. I remembered my commitment to myself, and that motivated me every day. One quiet afternoon, I decided it was time to approach my boss. I walked into his office, taking a deep breath before speaking. "Hi, Tom. Do you have a moment?" I asked, feeling my heart pound. He looked up from his computer and nodded. "Of course, Luna. What's on your mind?" As I sat down, I felt a wave of nervousness wash over me. I wanted to talk about my work and ideas. I believe I can contribute more to the team, but I need support. My voice shook a little, but I pressed on. I explained what I had experienced with Sarah. I told him how I wanted to create a positive environment at work. To my surprise, Tom listened with a thoughtful expression. "Luna, I appreciate your honesty," he said. "It's important to me that our team feels safe and valued." Hearing that made me feel strong. I could feel the fear melting away as he continued, "Let's work together to make sure you feel supported." That conversation changed everything for me. It showed me that I had a voice that mattered. My concerns were heard, and I felt validation. Leaving his office, my feet felt lighter. I was proud that I had taken this big step. Slowly, I began to feel my confidence return. Facing my boss was one thing. Now I needed to deal with Sarah in a way that would help me and perhaps open her eyes. At the weekly team meeting, I decided to take charge. Instead of sitting quietly as I had before, I shared my presentations with clear excitement. The room was calm, and my heart raced as I spoke. I focused on what I loved about my work. "I believe in teamwork, and I would like to brainstorm together. I think we can create great ideas," I said, feeling empowered. To my amazement, some colleagues responded positively. They nodded and began to discuss their thoughts. I looked at their faces, and for the first time, I felt connected. My ideas started flowing, and the fear that had once consumed me faded into the background. As the meeting continued, I noticed Sarah remaining quiet, perhaps surprised at the opposing energy in the room. After the meeting, some teammates approached me. They told me they enjoyed my presentation and joined me for lunch. As we talked, I felt the camaraderie bloom. This was the environment I had been dreaming of, one where we supported each other and worked together. It filled me with hope, showing me that change was not just possible for me but for others too. That night, I sat and reflected on all that had happened. I realized that overcoming fear began with my choice to speak up. I changed my mindset from hopelessness to a focus on growth. Each moment now felt full of possibilities. I knew I could face whatever came next. The journey ahead would still have challenges, but I felt prepared to take them on. I learned that my voice mattered, and I was in control of my path. I could breathe easier, ready to embrace tomorrow with a hopeful heart. The next few weeks were filled with changes. I felt stronger than ever, ready to set boundaries and stand up for myself. My boss had shown support, and my colleagues were beginning to feel like allies. I knew I had to act on this momentum. First, it was time to address Sarah again. I could not allow her negativity to invade my space any longer. One day, I found Sarah alone at her desk. My heart raced as I walked over, but I kept my chin up, focusing on my goal. I approached her calmly. "Sarah, I need to talk to you," I said, feeling the tremor in my voice. She turned to me, raising an eyebrow. I continued, "We need to find a way to work better together. I want to feel respected in our team." A look of disbelief crossed her face. "You think you're special or something? You don't get to tell me how to act, Luna," she replied with a hint of hostility. But I stood tall, refusing to back down. "This is not about being special. It's about being decent to each other. Your comments hurt me, and I want us to have a better working relationship." Sarah looked taken aback. For a moment, I worried I had gone too far, but then I sensed something change. Around the office, I noticed other colleagues watching us. They looked surprised but also interested. It seemed my boldness opened the door for change. I remembered my commitment not only to myself but also to fostering a respectful environment. Later that week, I caught up with another coworker, David, during lunch. "I saw you talking to Sarah." "That was brave," he said with a genuine smile. I appreciated his support and decided to share more. "I want to create a better atmosphere at work. It's not easy, but I believe it is worth it." David nodded. "I agree. We all deserve respect." I felt encouraged. Talking to him made it clear that there were others who felt similar pressures. One afternoon, I found the courage to report my experiences officially. I went to Tom's office and voiced my concerns about workplace bullying. I explained in detail how Sarah's behavior affected me and our team dynamics. He listened closely, showing he cared about the well-being of everyone. "Thank you for coming to me, Luna," he said. "We'll look into this. Everyone should feel safe and supported at work." His response was so reassuring. I felt a lightness in my heart. Being brave felt good, and I realized my voice had power. After that, I noticed a shift in behavior not just within me, but also around the office. Other colleagues began speaking up during meetings. There was more discussion and collaboration, and Sarah seemed to pull back, sensing the change. The atmosphere transformed. However, some tension remained. There were whispers, and a few coworkers seemed unsure about my actions. I could feel their resistance. This was difficult. Part of me wanted to retreat. But I remembered the inner strength I had discovered. I wanted a work environment where we could all thrive. Despite the pressure, I stayed focused on my goals. Setting behind-the-scenes discussions began to help bridge gaps. Slowly, Sarah and I began to communicate better. I saw her wall coming down, little by little. I felt hopeful. I was learning that boundaries could lead to healthier relationships. Sometimes, standing firm could break through barriers we'd never expected to rise between us. Hope began to blossom. I felt like I was shaping a new narrative for myself and my colleagues. The change felt real, and each small victory inspired me to continue this journey. If I could help make our workspace better, I knew I could also help myself grow stronger day by day. I felt a growing sense of change around the office. Each day, I found myself stepping away from my fears and moving into confidence. While Sarah still had her tough moments, I no longer let her words weaken my spirit. I began looking for ways to succeed and build stronger connections with my teammates. One day, that opportunity came unexpectedly. We were given a critical project that would help showcase our team's work. My boss asked me to lead the presentation, and I felt both excitement and nerves. I remembered how far I had come and that this was my chance to shine. I gathered my thoughts and began forming a plan with ideas I truly believed in. I decided this was not just a project, it was a moment to prove to myself that I belonged. As I prepared, I shared my ideas with my coworkers. They offered input, and for the first time, I felt empowered by their support. During lunch, while talking through ideas, Maria, one of my teammates, smiled and said, "Luna, we all believe in you. You are doing great work." Her encouragement filled me with warmth. I realized that having my teammates around lifted everyone up. We were working to create a cohesive environment together. When the day of the presentation arrived, I felt nervous, but excitement bubbled inside me. I reminded myself about all the work I had put into this and knew I could do it. As I stood in front of my boss and colleagues, I took a deep breath. I could see everyone's gazes focused on me, and my confidence grew. I began speaking, sharing our ideas clearly and passionately. As I presented the benefits and solutions we created as a team, I noticed my coworkers nodding along. Their support made me feel stronger, as though they were standing behind me. I spoke with clarity, sharing the efforts we all contributed to make this project successful. This was our moment, and I felt proud to be leading my teammates. At the end of the presentation, there was a moment of applause. My heart raced, not from fear, but from joy. Everyone felt the shift. "Great job, Luna," Tom said with a smile. "I am very impressed with how you led this." Hearing his praise felt like warm sunshine breaking through the clouds. I felt accomplished and accepted. Each kind word built my confidence and solidified my growth. But perhaps the most meaningful moment came afterward. Sarah approached me, a bit more humbled than before. "You did well," she said. Her tone was softer than I had heard in a while. I realized that while she may not have changed completely, I had. This win was not just a successful presentation, it was about respect. I learned that having a solid mindset means taking action even when it feels hard. When I stood up for myself and shared my ideas, I inspired those around me. I took the steps I needed, finding support, preparing with passion, and believing in my value. Each positive moment helped build my resilience against negativity. With each small triumph, I felt peace blooming inside me. I understood that growth takes patience, and workplace cultures can change. I was excited to continue nurturing this new environment. I wanted my journey to serve as inspiration, showing that with determination and teamwork, anyone can create a brighter conflict-free space. I felt ready to embrace whatever came next, knowing I could face it all. Resolution. After several weeks of teamwork and personal growth, the environment in our office finally felt brighter. We had turned a corner, and I was proud of the progress we made together. My mindset had shifted immensely. I felt more confident, and my voice was stronger than ever. I had learned the importance of standing up for myself and supporting others, and all of that made a difference. But as I reflected on my journey, I realized I faced one final decision. Although I enjoyed my job, the experience with Sarah and the stress I felt made me reconsider my long-term career goals. I knew I wanted to be part of a supportive workplace where everyone thrived. Would I stay and continue to change our environment, or would I seek a new path altogether? One day as I sat in the break room, I noticed a few colleagues talking happily together. It struck me that I had not only grown as an individual, but I had also influenced change within the team. And yet, despite this positive shift, I felt I still needed to find a career trajectory that fully aligned with my values and aspirations. With this realization, I decided to have an open conversation with Tom about my future at the company. I approached him the next day, heart pounding slightly but fueled by confidence. "Tom," I started, "I would like to share some ideas about my career goals." He smiled and nodded. "Great, Luna. I'm all ears." I expressed my desire to grow and to take on new projects. I explained how I wanted to focus on areas that inspired me personally, such as marketing strategies that promote teamwork and positivity. "I believe that creating a supportive workplace is where I can shine," I said earnestly. I could see his eyes light up as I spoke. "I want to contribute to a culture of respect," I added. Tom listened closely. "I think you have great ideas, Luna. Let's make a plan. I can help connect you with team members who share the same vision. This can be your focus area." His words motivated me even more. This moment felt important. I was not just defining my role, I was taking charge of my career path. I left his office feeling empowered. I realized that I had grown immensely over these past months. I had learned that I did not need to settle for anything less than an environment that valued my contributions. I found strength in my voice and hope for the future. Each step I took led me closer to what truly mattered, being part of a workplace where I could flourish both personally and professionally. Sarah's presence had shifted too. While she still had her moments, I noticed our interactions changed for the better. I could see her trying, perhaps feeling challenged to adapt to the new dynamics. This was encouraging not just for me but for the whole team. Confronting the toxicity did not mean she would not change. It showed that openness could lead to growth for everyone. As time passed, I set long-term goals for myself. I envisioned new projects that would help uplift our team spirit, allowing myself to grow into a confident leader. I felt excited about contributing to a great workplace culture. The changes that happened were not just about my growth, they were about transforming our environment for the better. This journey taught me that I had the power to shape my path. I was ready to embrace the future, filled with dreams and possibilities. Each day felt like a new opportunity, and I was eager to seize it with both hands. As I looked toward the future, I felt a wave of excitement wash over me. My decision to work with Tom to shape my career and environment showed me that change could happen. I was learning to navigate my experience confidently. Setting those long-term goals inspired me to take action, and I could now see a bright path ahead. In the following weeks, I worked diligently on a project that encouraged teamwork and creativity within our office. I organized brainstorming sessions where everyone could share ideas. I was pleasantly surprised by how enthusiastic my coworkers became. Each session brought us closer, and I felt a stronger bond forming among the team. I witnessed firsthand how creating an open environment led to different perspectives, and the atmosphere grew more positive. The more I engaged with my colleagues, the more my confidence blossomed. I felt energized each day, and my role transformed. No longer did I walk into the office with dread. I looked forward to making connections, learning new things, and working together toward a common goal. Every challenge became an opportunity, and I found strength in collaboration. It also became clear that I wanted to focus on my career growth beyond my current role. With Tom's support, I began seeking out professional development opportunities. I took a workshop on leadership, learning skills that would help me inspire others. I placed my name in for projects that excited me. Each step I took pushed me forward, and I learned more about my strengths along the way. One day, during a team meeting, I surprised everyone by volunteering to lead a new initiative. It focused on improving our community outreach and connecting our team with local organizations. My coworkers were supportive, and together we brainstormed ways to strengthen our presence. It felt amazing to lead such an important project. I could see my growth from the shy person who once struggled under pressure to someone who inspired others. Some months later, I received a phone call that would further change everything. A marketing firm reached out to me for an exciting job opportunity. They had heard about my projects and wanted me on their team. I couldn't believe the news. This was the moment I realized how far I had come. I had grown so much in confidence that I felt ready to explore something new. After careful thought, I accepted the job offer. It was a wonderful opportunity aligned with my values and aspirations. I was excited to take on this new challenge. As I prepared to leave my current job, I expressed my gratitude to Tom and my teammates. I was thankful for the support and kindness I had received during my time there. Leaving felt bittersweet, but I knew I was making the right choice for my future. Looking ahead, I felt inspired to embrace each new day. I understood that challenges would always come, but now I had the tools to face them. I knew how to advocate for myself and create positive change. Life is an ongoing journey, and I was ready to navigate it with an open heart and mind. Each step I'd taken became part of my story, one filled with resilience, empowerment, and hope. I looked forward to shaping my future, embracing opportunities, and helping others feel valued along the way. This newfound clarity energized me, and I stepped boldly into the next chapter of my life.